This is the Channel 4 Action News. With anchorman Bob Longfellow, action correspondent Barry Chippendale, Bert Hapawack on sports, and the weather with Jay Pendleton Smith. Now, see what's actioning in your town.
Good evening. This is Bob Longfellow, not interrupting anything to bring you the 9 o'clock news. Our top story: it's been 6 months since the last blood grinder attack, and people are beginning to ask themselves, what's taking him so long? Usually the blood grinder strikes within a 1 to 2 week window, but after his last attack, a two-body double whammy in which he killed a prostitute and a second prostitute, he has seemingly vanished off the face of the earth. People have all but forgotten about him. Yes, life is good for citizens of our fair city. People are starting to come out of their homes, reconnect with loved ones, spending their hard-earned cash at the mall, or just basking in the glow of our huge, beautiful sun. But how long will all this last? We can't forget that the blood grinder took a self-imposed hiatus nearly 3 years ago. Is this the beginning of another long break? Or is he right around the corner, ready to strike at a moment's notice? Is it okay to fear this madman? What is fear? To help us answer these questions, we have fear expert Dr. Heinrich Fleischlinghammer III. Doctor?
Yes, thank you, Bob. You see, fear is an involuntary emotional response that's triggered by things like pain and danger and the threat of losing one's life. You know, with this blood grinder cavorting about, it's easy to see why people are feeling this emotion.
So what can we do to prevent fear?
Bob, there is nothing we can do to prevent fear. You see, fear is related to future events, like the threat of being murdered by a blood-thirsty psychopath. You know, the great Winston Churchill once denoted that the only way to stop fear is to cut it out from the source. Or run away forever.
Well, there you have it, folks. The only way to prevent blood grinder-related fear is to actually stop the blood grinder. We hope this information could be of some use for our police force, as they could certainly use it. If you don't want to stop the blood grinder yourself, we here at Channel 4 Action News recommend running away while you still have your life. Coming up next, sports. Why? We'll be right back.
Hey guys, this is Dave Conti.
I am Matt Bronsdorf.
I'm Nick Schwartz.
Welcome to week 7?
Seven.
Right.
7!
I'm back from vacation. Thank you for the stand-in last week, guys. I was very pleased.
Bebop was happy to do it.
Yep.
Okay, so this week we had the Night of Grinding, which was the improvised show that we were having here in New York City, for those of you who could make it out. Unfortunately, we ended up having the show on the hottest day of the year so far. I think we hit a record of 100 degrees. So we had record temperatures, and then we had a flash end of the world scenario thunderstorm right before the show. So the audience wasn't as packed as we'd like, but the audience that was there had a kick-ass time, laughing a lot at everything that was happening. And later this week we will have the show up online for everybody to check out.
So this week we watched Die Hard, which is arguably the greatest film of all time.
Arguably.
And no hyperbole there either. Die Hard, I think, is one of the action staples. I think probably one of the gold standards of the genre, easily.
Since Die Hard, every other action movie that stars one action hero has basically been described as Die Hard on A or in A. There's a
cliffhanger.
Speed.
Yeah, cliffhanger. Die Hard on a cliff. Under Siege is Die Hard on a boat.
Happy trails. Happy trails.
Die Hard 2 is Die Hard in an airport.
One of the first things that anyone will ever talk about when talking about Die Hard is John McClane and Bruce Willis as John McClane.
Hey, I'm John McClane.
At the time that Die Hard had come out, it was late in the 80s, so it was after a string of all the Jean-Claude Van Dammes, the Sylvester Stallones, the Arnold Schwarzeneggers. Commando actually predates Die Hard. So we get through this whole decade of the 80s where we're seeing these action heroes who are pretty much invincible. So when Die Hard came out, Bruce Willis was primarily known for sitcoms before that, so he was just a comedic guy, and it was shocking to see this completely regular, ordinary, normal guy in this big, huge action movie, and it made it kind of refreshing and exciting for the audience because he's an everyman. What you're given in that situation is a vulnerable action hero, someone who, when he gets hit, he gets hit. When he gets cut, he bleeds, and John McClane bleeds a lot. That's pretty much a staple of all the Die Hard movies. By the time the Die Hard movie comes to a close, he's covered in blood, and he's tired, and he's done with this shit. He just wants to get home and go to bed. One of my favorite moments is at the very, very climax when he catches up to Hans Gruber, and he just like stumbles into the room with the gun in his hand, and he's like, Hans! 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 Because he's just so tired. He's like, God, can this fucking shit end? So what we take as inspiration for that is, while Ronnie, in terms of his attitude and the way that he tackles situations, he is very much almost that superhero, but he's still going to get the shit kicked out of him at the end of the first Blood Grinder, and at the end of the new Blood Grinder, and at the end of the short. He's going to be completely covered in cuts and bruises and bleeding and all that shit.
Spoiler.
Spoiler!
One thing I want to talk about with Die Hard is the use of miniatures, notably in the scene where the helicopter blows the hell up and falls down the side of the building. With the use of miniatures, it's just it is real. They're real objects, and it feels real because they are real. I mean, I can't say the word real enough, but that's what they are, and it helps sell the the escapism of the movie. When you look at that CG effect, you know immediately that's CG. There's not been a single instance where CG has looked real, like from the real world. While we're not going to be using too many miniatures in the Blood Grinder, we are going to have some scenes that require them, and we're going to use miniatures over CGI because, frankly, CGI sucks. It's not as good as using real, tangible objects. And with Blood Grinder, we have a very stern no CGI policy. If we use CGI for anything, it'll be to enhance practical effects. It won't be to replace things or to use solely on their own. It'll be an enhancement.
If we can't do it for real, we don't do it. That's basically the rule. Using
miniatures, it's realistic, it works, it's tried and true, it's proven to be really excellent, and when done well, it sells it. Yeah. You don't know the difference. So miniatures, yay. CG, nay. Nick, do it up.
And now we'll talk about the villain Hans Gruber, played by the amazing Alan Rickman. Arguably the greatest villain of all time. In all seriousness, though, he is. Alan Rickman is just like the classiest villain ever.
Nice suit.
And I think the reason is because they cast a actor with a theatrical background. He's like a classically trained actor.
Benefits of a classical education.
And he, like you said, I think your words are the best, he chews up the scenery.
I feel like a villain has to be as likable as the hero. Instead of just having some evil, person, just doing evil shit, having a guy who's calculating and smart and has a method to his madness, it makes it way more engaging. So we have a sketch this week of Miss America from the ever-talented Chris Kelly.
In terms of what you're looking at, as you can see, Miss America is a tall, blonde, beautiful, statuesque, very well-built woman. Exactly the type of woman that you would look at and go, she probably could kick my ass.
We don't want her to be just some sex symbol. Yeah. She has to be strong, both mentally, physically, and emotionally, I guess would be the word I'm looking for. She's the primary focus of the prequel.
We are approaching our halfway point. We're a little less than 30% funded, but we can do better. We can do much better. So if you're out there and you like this stuff, give us $1.
We can do better accents than that too, but we're not going to.
As usual, tell your friends, your families, enemies, whichever. Just help us out. Trying to get an awesome project done just for you.
Goodbye.
See you next week.